understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in.
Welcome to the Leo Zagami show with Leo and Christy. Today on Thursday, it's an unusual day, I know, but yesterday was my birthday, so I took the Wednesday off. We will be back on Wednesday next week. That's one of your favorite days. In the middle of the week, we have an extra show thanks to our sponsor, who is
Daniel Estes.
Thank you, Estes. And now we start talking about a topic that's going to be very controversial, because today we had a meeting for the rearmament of Europe at the European Union with Zelensky, a completely different welcome from the White House. When he arrived there in Brussels, they said, "Here, you're always welcome." Oh, so why is this EU the Fourth Reich? Why did I give this definition? Because I talk about it like this, as you know, in volume 7 of my Confessions. But also, I would like to explain the connections between the European Union and the Order of the Jesuits, the Company of Jesus, the Society of Jesus. So welcome everybody here to the Leo Zagami show. Of course, if you want to help us, you can do it also with the purchase of our books. And in particular, for today's topic, I will suggest volume 9, as well as volume 7. But also, we had a birthday yesterday, my 55th birthday. And Christy said, "You are the best thing you ever found on the internet."
You found me, actually.
And you can find all about it in another book, which is Confessions of an
Yeah, I read about it.
volume 1. So if somebody's curious about it, but let me tell you, of course, the situation is very tense worldwide, especially since that clown of Emmanuel Macron came up with his clown show, saying that he wants to create this nuclear umbrella on top of Europe. We know that France is, of course, a nuclear power, very modest one. They don't have that much, but they are a nuclear power, independent, completely independent from the United States, while Great Britain, they have the nukes, but of course, they depend. They are, let's say, co-directed with the United States. So that would make it impossible for them to detach completely from the United States for their defense. Let's see how it all unfolded today in Brussels. In the meantime, please share this video with your friends, with your family, on your social network of choice. And we will also hear what has been going on with Vladimir Putin, who has reacted, mentioning Napoleon. I've been talking about Napoleon and Hitler, and actually even Lavrov, the foreign minister, mentioned both Napoleon and Hitler. Who is the new Napoleon? Well, it seems to be this clown of Emmanuel Macron, who, well, look what he said.
Prochaine, nous réunirons à Paris les chefs d'état-major des pays qui souhaitent prendre leurs responsabilités à cet égard. C'est ainsi un plan pour une paix solide, durable, vérifiable, que nous avons préparé avec les Ukrainiens et plusieurs autres partenaires européens, et que j'ai été défendre aux États-Unis il y a 15 jours et à travers l'Europe. Et je veux croire que les États-Unis resteront à nos côtés. Mais il nous faut être prêts si tel n'était pas le cas. Notre dissuasion nucléaire nous protège. Elle est complète, souveraine, française de bout en bout. Elle a, depuis 1964, de manière explicite, toujours joué un rôle dans la préservation de la paix et de la sécurité en Europe. Mais répondant à l'appel historique du futur chancelier allemand, j'ai décidé d'ouvrir le débat stratégique sur la protection par notre dissuasion de nos alliés du continent européen. Quoi qu'il arrive, la décision a toujours été et restera entre les mains du président de la République. Mais compte tenu de l'évolution des menaces, de cette accélération que je viens de décrire, nous aurons à faire de nouveaux choix budgétaires et des investissements supplémentaires qui sont désormais devenus indispensables. J'ai demandé au gouvernement d'y travailler le plus vite possible. Ce seront de nouveaux investissements qui exigent de mobiliser des financements privés, mais aussi des financements publics, sans que les impôts ne soient augmentés. Nous avons, dès le premier jour, décidé de soutenir l'Ukraine et de sanctionner la Russie. Et nous avons bien fait, car c'est non seulement le peuple ukrainien qui lutte avec courage pour sa liberté, mais c'est aussi notre sécurité qui est menacée. En effet, si un pays peut envahir impunément son voisin en Europe, alors personne ne peut plus être sûr de rien, et c'est la loi du plus fort qui s'applique, et la paix ne peut plus être garantie sur notre continent même. La Russie du président Poutine viole nos frontières pour assassiner des opposants, manipule les élections en Roumanie, en Moldavie. Elle organise des attaques numériques contre nos hôpitaux pour en bloquer le fonctionnement. La Russie tente de manipuler nos opinions avec des mensonges diffusés sur les réseaux sociaux. Et au fond, elle teste nos limites. Elle le fait dans les airs, en mer, dans l'espace et derrière nos écrans. Cette agressivité ne semble pas connaître de frontières. Mes chers compatriotes, face à ces défis et ces changements irréversibles, il ne faut céder à aucun excès. Ni l'excès des va-t-en-guerre, ni l'excès des défaitistes. La France ne suivra qu'un cap, celui de la volonté pour la paix et la liberté, fidèle en cela à son histoire et à ses principes.
This was Emmanuel Macron, a guy who allegedly is married with a man called Brigitte, who, by the way, raped him when he was only 14, and she was teaching in a Jesuit college. And it's about the Jesuits that I want to start talking here, because a lot has been going on with Zelensky arriving today at this EU summit, after Macron, of course, has already laid the foundations for his so-called nuclear deterrence, which pushed, by the way, Lavrov to react in the following way. Now, we're talking here about a situation in which the Jesuits are definitely ruling. And how do they rule in Europe? Well, first of all, Himmler used the Jesuits as the model for the SS, since he found they had the core elements of absolute obedience and the cult of organization. Hitler is said to have called Himmler my Ignazio Loyola, so Ignatius Loyola. So I mean, that is pretty indicating, as Ignatius Loyola is the founder of the Jesuits. As an order, the SS needed a coherent doctrine that would set it apart. But what are the Jesuits doing in Europe? Well, the Jesuits do a lot in Europe, and I'm going to show you exactly how they operate in the European Union before we move further. I want to show you a little bit at the time how their office has been at the center of the politics in Brussels for a long time. And that's why they welcome, of course, Zelensky in a completely different way. This is the Jesuits for the European common good. Christy, would you like to read this part?
Okay. Since its beginnings, the Society of Jesus has been a European project. Today, 8 Jesuits from 6 European countries work in Brussels, committed to building Europe. At a time when Europe is in deep crisis, the challenge is considerable. In Paris, in 1534, Ignatius of Loyola consciously gathered in his group of friends members from different European countries. This group was the mother cell of the Jesuit order, European in its origins, but soon universal in its missionary dynamic. Therefore, it is not surprising that there have been Jesuits accompanying the European unification project since its inception. One of the pioneers was Father Jean du Rouveau, who founded in 1949 in Strasbourg the
Secrétariat catholique pour les problèmes européens.
Thank you. The Catholic Secretariat for European Problems. In 1956, the Office
Catholique d'information sur les problèmes européens.
The Catholic Office for Information on European Problems was created. With the transfer of the European institutions to Brussels, an office was opened in that city in 1963. Since 2012, the European Jesuit Office is called GESC, European Jesuit Social Center, currently made up of a team of 3 Jesuits and 5 lay people.
So we're not talking about theories here or conspiracy theories in particular. We're talking about facts. Facts that changed the life of 500 million people that live under the European dictatorship, so to speak. The Jesuit or Jesupian, the Jesuit European Social Center, formerly known as Catholic Office of Information Initiative for Europe. It's not such a known organization. You find it in a street called Rue de Comet, the Street of the Comet in Brussels. And it was founded in the 50s, in reality, in the second half of the 50s, by a group of Jesuits who were very enthusiastic about the European issues. Of course, the European Union was coming together also thanks to the push of the Bilderberg Club, as well as the CIA. And this organization continues its work, and it does it with the help of the German Bishop Conference, jawohl! So this is the Fourth Reich, guys. The program that was actually inspired by Pope Francis in more recent years is Rethinking Europe, and trains participants from all over the world for over 5 months in Brussels. We're working for European organizations, and we are talking about, of course, the work conducted by the GESC. And like I said, not many people know about all this, so I wanted to make it clear. The Jesuits are very influential guys in the European Union, so no wonder that Zelensky was received in the following way, as a hero rather than the dictator scumbag that he actually is. And this was the arrival.
Today, the Council, it's a very important moment to build on European security. As you remember, 1 month ago, we have a very important brainstorming, but now we are here today to take decisions and to deliver. Of course, the security and defense of Europe is not separated of Ukraine security and defense. A stronger European defense, it boosts Ukrainian defense, and a stronger capacity for Ukraine defense is also very important to boost our own defense.
Europe faces a clear and present danger, and therefore Europe has to be able to protect itself, to defend itself, as we have to put Ukraine in a position to protect itself and to push for a lasting and just peace. I present today to the leaders the Rearm Europe plan. The Rearm Europe plan provides up to 800 billion euros for defense investment. It gives the member states fiscal space to invest in defense. It gives the member states possibility to invest in the Ukrainian defense industry or to procure military capabilities that go right away to Ukraine.
You made a strong signal to Ukrainian people, to Ukrainian warriors, to civilians, to all our families, and it's great that we are not alone. We feel it and we know it. Thank you so much for everything, and signals to increase our production, and signals to, with the new program, to increase the European security. That's, I think, the great decisions.
So this was Zelensky earlier today in Brussels after his arrival at the center of what is clearly becoming the Fourth Reich. The concept of the Fourth Reich was disclosed by other individuals before me, and I talk about it in volume 7 of my Confessions. A very important book to understand also the occult and Nazi roots of the Great Reset of Klaus Schwab. Somebody today told me, oh, but you focus on the Nazi roots, but Klaus Schwab is actually more inclined towards the left. He has apparently a little statue of some kind of a bust, or how you say in English?
Bust,
yes, of Lenin in his office. Well, there is no difference between communism and Nazism. They both come from socialism, remember, and only later on they were made to fight each other. So to control both sides. The Jesuits have always been there, remember, from the very start. That's why I wanted to show you also how the Jesuits are very much involved, and they are not only involved, but they are approved officially in their involvement, which, of course, might not be known to everybody. And that's for that reason today I wanted to literally show you how they operate from the inside, aside from, of course, discussing what is happening with Zelensky. This European Union has as an accredited organization the Jesuit European Center. This is their address and this is their phone number. And of course, we saw also their website earlier. So the Jesuits are present, no joke. They also control, of course, earlier also from Strasbourg, before arriving in Brussels, the black nobility, and they are working, and they have been working in Northern Europe very closely, also with the Dutch royal family. And so it's not, you know, there's no difference for them if you are a Protestant or you are a Catholic. Let's remember that these people, the Jesuits, have been infiltrating the Protestantism for almost 500 years. I mean, they were officially approved in 1540, and from that moment onwards, they became the main instrument of the counter Reformation. The Reformation was enacted, but they became the counter Reformation. And then, of course, as we explained in our episode, which we did the last week, which I suggest you watch on the Inquisitions, they also gradually took control of the Inquisition rather than the Dominicans who were previously in charge. At the moment, the Jesuits, of course, with Pope Francis, are pushing very much. Pope Francis is more dead than alive. He's being kept on respirators. He is probably never going to come out of that hospital in one piece, that's for sure. He had one crisis after the other, and now he's receiving oxygen for most of the time. So the fact that he's still alive might be only, let's say, a formality. He's not very alive, but his church and, of course, the Jesuits are in charge of the whole thing, and they are making him sign, I don't know how.
They'll keep him alive as long as possible.
As long,
he's like the Biden of the Catholic Church.
well, yeah, Biden at least though was pretty alive, though he was not alive mentally. This guy, it's I don't know, very bad conditions. But let's not forget also Joe Biden, who has a son, Hunter Biden, who apparently is in debt, guys. You know that when there were the fires in LA, he lost apparently his great art collection. Nobody wants to buy his art anymore, but nobody wanted to buy his art in the first place. What happened was that he was selling art in exchange of favors that the father was giving, and the whole thing was a Ponzi. Well, no, I mean, it was a fraudulent scheme to generate money. So now Hunter Biden says his art sales plunged since Dowd left White House. So very sad for you. Why don't you just set yourself on fire together with your art? I'm sure nobody's going to be that sad about the fact that this hideous scumbag is now in a bankrupt position. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show. This is our middle of the week show. We thank our sponsor, who is
Daniel Estes. Thank you very much for your donation. You're the reason why we are here today, and we're very grateful.
And in today's episode, we are bringing you all the latest in regards to what is happening with Zelensky and also with Emmanuel Macron, which is a Jesuit product. We said he went to school with Jesuits. He met his future wife at the Jesuits college, actually high school, and then he developed further a passion for economics, which he followed working for the Rothschilds cartel in France. However, yesterday was my birthday, and I
want to ask you a question.
mini golf. And I played mini golf yesterday. Shall we show the video? Me playing
but
mini
can
golf?
I ask you a question real quick? Just real quick before I forget. Are Sabbatean Frankists or Jesuits more powerful? Which one?
They work together. Like, for example, if we see the figure of Emmanuel Macron, he was formed by the Jesuits, but then he went and ended up working for the Sabbatean Frankist Rothschilds. So, I mean, there is mostly a, like I explained also in volume 7, I mean, there is a Jesuit element that is inclined to form, educate, and also control the spiritual and religious narrative, while instead the Sabbatean Frankists are mostly inclined to control the economic one, though they also have, as volume 8 explains, a particular interest in brainwashing people with their decadence of reaching some kind of illumination through sin, and they did it also by corrupting, of course, people with Hollywood and the films that were brought out of Hollywood for over 100 years. So the Jesuits have a say in the one world religion. The Sabbatean Frankists, of course, are inclined to control more the economic establishment, but they also have a say in the corruption of the culture. The culture, the Sabbatean Frankists have always been, like, for example, involved in secret societies that have been very influential in the cultural side of things rather than the religious side of things.
Yeah, I was going to say that's why Kanye West.
Woody Allen is a typical Sabbatean Frankist.
Okay.
Yeah, Kanye West attacks every Jew in the world, and he gets it wrong because at the same time he is putting swastikas and talking well about Adolf Hitler, who himself was a Sabbatean Frankist product, like I explain in my books, the product like Rabbi Antelman explained of a ritual that was conducted in 1888 to produce this demon, which was Adolf Hitler. But let's move further, because yesterday I played mini golf, guys. I'm kind of training a little bit, maybe one day.
It was the first time he ever did it.
Yeah, you never know when I'm going to play real golf. So in the meantime, I started mini golf.
Hey, Marie. We're at the putt-putt. Here we are. Palm Springs putt-putt. Hansel and Gretel house. And then this is the pagoda. And don't hit it too hard. Oh my god! No! Bounced off the hole. Typical.
Well, but I got also a very interesting hope from.
Oh yeah, was that the time that you had to put from the green?
After from the, but it was actually very successful. So I'm learning.
You did good. You did really good. I mean, it was like so close. I've been playing mini golf my whole life, and we were pretty much tied. So
okay, so it's.
And he thought it was really good in the beginning. I was like, I'm not.
Regarding Zelensky, let's not forget what I explained in Volume 9 of my confession. Volodymyr Zelensky is an Ukrainian, but he's also Jew, as Sabbathean Frank is, because Jacob Frank was born in Ukraine. So between Ukraine and Poland, Jacob Frank developed the second phase of the Sabbathean movement, the one that included 20,000 Jews that were actually brought almost forcefully in the Catholic faith as an exchange of favors that Jacob Frank did to the Catholic Church in order to be nobilitated. Jacob Frank thought he was the reincarnation of Shabbatai Zevi. So this is very important, this book, Volume 9, to understand also where we are today with what is happening in Ukraine, the secret societies, the Freemasons involved in all the Ukrainian game, or let's say also the fraudulent ways of this pervert. Yes, we always have to remind that this guy used to be a comedian and a pervert. So, a little bit, every now and then it's better to refresh people's minds with this little clip. Of course, the Zelensky promotes the Nazi link, Stefan Bandera connected to the SS, to the Nazis, and now he is in full force with them and with this Fourth Reich, because that's what the European Union is. However, this is what Lavrov said about the nuclear aspirations of Macron, and of course also of Zelensky being the new Napoleon or Adolf Hitler.
Это угроза в адрес России. Если он нас считает угрозой, собирает встречу начальников генеральных штабов европейских стран и Британии. Говорит, что необходимо использовать ядерное оружие, готовиться к использованию ядерного оружия против России. Это, конечно же, угроза. В отличие от своих предшественников, которые тоже хотели против России воевать, Наполеона, Гитлера, господин Макрон не очень изящно поступает, потому что те прямо говорили, надо завоевать Россию, надо Россию победить. Он, видимо, хочет того же самого, но почему-то говорит, что воевать с Россией надо, чтобы она не победила Францию, что Россия создает угрозы Франции и Европе. Господин Макрон периодически заявляет так горделиво, что он позвонит Путину обязательно, поговорит с ним. У него такие возможности есть. Никто, как говорится, не запрещает. Наоборот, президент постоянно подчеркивает свою открытость контактам со всеми своими коллегами. И в отношении вот этих, прямо скажем, неумных обвинений России в подготовке войны против Европы и Франции Путин неоднократно высказывался, называя такие мысли бредовыми, чушью. Но, наверное, для любого маломальски вменяемого человека совершенно понятно, что России это не нужно. России нужно устранить первопричины той ситуации, которую Запад создал на Украине для подавления влияния, для ведения войны против Российской Федерации. Это прежде всего расширение НАТО, и президент Трамп, его команда прекрасно понимают, что именно это было главной первопричиной. Об этом публично говорят, в то время, когда европейцы почему-то решившие, что Соединенные Штаты предали их интересы, заявляют, вернее, замалчивают все первопричины, замалчивают тему НАТО, наоборот, пытаются сколачивать внутри НАТО уже там совсем боевые силы для развертывания на территории Украины.
Lavrov, a man that really means what he say, a man of great culture, a guy with two big balls, and you can hear it also in his voice. It's definitely not Zelensky, who sings and dances around like an effeminate, almost a drag queen or something. And just I see the difference here. And it's pretty obvious. You're talking about two different planets. This is the European president. I mean, come on. I mean, 800 billion with the possibility of sending all the younger generations of Europeans to die in a war, which they will never be able to win. Never in the history of mankind has a European force, either Napoleon or Adolf Hitler, managed to win against Russia. The problem here is that Europe, if it was really truly united, they might win. They have 500 million people, but they might have also lost any chance of winning the moment in which, after the Second World War, gradually the CIA, for convenience, reprogrammed the German minds, the Italian, castrated the Europeans, transformed them in a bunch of leftist, socialist, and this is not, of course, very viril. So, also in regards to the situation, in regards to financing this war with Zelensky, Zelensky knows very well without the United States of America he can't win, because Europe provides 5 different kinds of tanks, 10 different kinds of machine gun. I mean, it's like even the eventual weapons they could give to the Ukrainians. I mean, it takes time to learn how to guide a tank, for example, control a tank. If you have a different kind, Italian tank, a German tank, then you have to teach the guy. It's not like the Americans gave them the same kind, of tanks. Now they're used to them. And of course, everything that is given by America is being used in wars over and over, because yes, we can say a lot of things against the military industrial complex, but they are efficient. So the European, instead, military industrial complex is fractured. Ukraine knows very well that if it continues like this in the next 2 weeks, they're going to have a crisis. They don't longer have the intelligence support given by the 14, 15 intelligence agencies that operate here in the United States. They don't have the support of Starlink and Elon Musk that have turned off his satellites for them. So they don't know where the Russians are now anymore. Their drones will not be capable of being controlled with, of course, the support of Starlink, even if Elon Musk was always a little bit careful in giving that kind of support, especially when they started raiding Russian territory with their drones. The problem with Europe is believing they can even have a chance, because if we go and compare Napoleon, with all the respect, Napoleon was a charismatic guy. Maybe he was short like Zelensky, fine, but he was charismatic, and he was really a guy who studied Sun Tzu, studied the art of war, studied the Bello Gallicum of Julius Caesar. Great knowledge of war. He won. Eventually, he will lose with the Brits, but the Brits were the Brits of over 200 years ago, and not the Brits of today. Today we have
Here's Morgan.
Today we have, aside from the media BS, we have 75,000 soldiers, of which half of them are not even soldiers. They are chefs, gardeners, whatever. They're not even soldiers. So if they wanted to really fight this war, they will have to take the soldiers even from Windsor Castle or the ones that they use for all those parades that they do in front of Buckingham Palace.
The bobbies? They're going to have to use them?
No, the bobbies are the police. That's another thing. They're not military.
Oh, okay.
So we are really with the situation of great incompetence, which is going to unfold if they ever went to war against Russia. And remember, they are no Napoleon, and they're definitely not Adolf Hitler. Now, Adolf Hitler, of course, we know what kind of awful guy he was, but he had the most loyal soldiers that would die for him and do the most terrible things for him. So I don't see these people ever winning, because Napoleon didn't manage. They froze their asses. The same thing happened to Adolf Hitler, who didn't manage. So who's going to win? Ursula von der Leyen. The images that come in today from the European Union in regards to the Fourth Reich make us understand really how ridiculous these people are. What kind of parliament is this? What is this? A clown parliament, a rainbow parliament, an LGBTQ parliament, all these colors and stuff? Ridiculous. Let's not forget that the core of the Illuminati are to be found, of course, in Germany, in Austria, but also in France, because they probably wouldn't have been a fraternité, égalité, and liberté without the support of all the various secret societies and, of course, the Illuminati that eliminated the monarchy to then replace it with the empire of Napoleon, and then, of course, their presidential setup they have today. But to see these ridiculous technocrats in Europe,
they cover their mouths. Is that so the camera can't see what they're saying?
Yes, that's they often do that. It's pretty ridiculous to see them. I mean, then you have Scholz there, and this is the Prime Minister of Denmark. Now, let's not forget that they own Greenland at the moment as a colony. Basically, Donald J. Trump has declared war against Europe when he said that he's going to take Greenland. I hope he does. And it would be fair, because for hundreds of years, they kept Greenland as a colony, and the people never had any decisional power. Here you have, of course, somebody who we know very well, Viktor Orban, next to his, I think, Polish counterpart. Viktor Orban is a voice of dissent, one of the few within the EU Parliament, EU Commission, that is a voice of dissent, that will not support this 800 billion investment. In the end, the concept here is very clear. You have 500 million Europeans. Why do they ask the help of 300 million Americans, or they are afraid of 150 million Russians? Is it because they don't have the balls? Is it because the hair doesn't grow in the nutsack anymore in Europe?
Oh my God.
That is a reason, probably. Yes, I'm sorry to say. Yes. Somebody says that the French Martinists, were infiltrated and did basically their synarchy that became the European Union on behalf of the Jesuits. Let's not forget that an SI, which in Martinism means superior inconnu, which was also used by the strict temper observance of German origin. The SI is actually the initials of Società Jesus of the Jesuits. So the Martinists are already screwed. So this is the Fourth Reich that wants to wage war against Putin. At this point, let's see what Putin says about all this, because it's been a lot of saying on the news today about Russia being really angry with, of course, Macron. And we heard, of course, what Lavrov has said. But what did Putin say? Now, there is no English translation at the moment available, what Putin has said, but I have an Italian translation. I can translate it for you in English. And he was actually laughing almost about how ridiculous these European people are.
I'm glad he's laughing.
I mean, come on, you can take seriously a parliament. It looks like the parliament of the gay pride. I'm sorry for any homosexuals listening. No offense, but all these colors in the European Parliament. What is this? What kind of ridiculous farce is that? This is Putin. This is Putin who says basically they want to do an invasion Napoleon style. Maybe they have forgot how it ended the last time. I mean, check out the expression of Putin.
Конечно, характерно для нашего народа. Характерно для нашего народа. Здесь вот
there is some people who can't really stay calm, and there is some people who want to go back to the era of Napoleon, and he's kind of laughing there. Come on, you can see the guy. Yeah. Maybe they forgot how it ended, Putin says.
He looks like he's
like shaking his head, and I think that really, guys, Trump is completely right on leaving the Europeans out, because I mean, Putin is just repeating. They really have underestimated the character of the Russian people. That everything that we got is ours, and that we will not renounce to anything that we got. And all the errors that are done by the people, Putin says, is the error of underestimating the character of the Russian people. And we know that Trump is, of course, restarting probably with Ukraine some kind of dialogue, but in Saudi Arabia, not in America, not in the White House for sure. There is no openness towards receiving again Zelensky in the near future in the White House. So maybe for the meantime in Saudi Arabia with his representatives. The errors, though, like Putin says, of our enemies is really to underestimate us. And so Putin is almost laughing at this ridiculous farce. Let's not forget, I mean, when you see the president of Ukraine dancing around like a woman, wearing those kind of transgender dresses, I know it could be on RuPaul's drag show, but he is the president of Ukraine. Remember that. And instead, he wants to be taken seriously. You saw Putin. Let me remind you once again who is Zelensky. I think that the difference is kind of, and if these people in Europe think that they can actually, it's just incredible. So let's see what Zelensky really said when, yesterday he came out stating that, we started, of course, a new dialogue with America, and we are working on a new.
Наскільки швидко?
Now the thing is that, of course, people have said no during the president's speech to the Congress. He was lying. Zelensky didn't send any letter. You don't need a letter. These days, guys, we don't need to write a letter and send it with a, with an ambassador and maybe by horse arriving to the White House. I think that is something from 2 centuries ago. Things are done with a tweet these days. So that's a tweet. So that's how it works. It's though, of course, incredible how Europe, but also the Democrats here here in the United States of America are really supporting still Ukraine. They are marching in the streets for Ukraine. Of course, it's all paid, we know, by Soros, but it gives you the impression, no, that they are serious, that they are protesting. Well, in the meantime, the native city where Zelensky was born, the city where he was born, was bombarded like was raided last night by Russian missiles who left very little untouched in his native city. It says, careful because these images could affect your sensibility if you are a liptad. This ridiculous assertion that Trump went to a Jesuit school and he had nothing. I mean, Trump is very much a guy connected to the Protestant world. He also is definitely somebody who is very pragmatic, like Lavrov himself has said. The Jesuits are obviously against anything that Trump stands for. So to even have this kind of dialogue, this kind of assertion of so-called conspiracy theories.
I think he's a double agent
or something. Trump is a Jesuit. That's bullshit, guys. That's real bullshit because...
I mean, he almost got shot in the ear. That's not fake.
And of course, guys, in regards to the shooting, we know that volume 11 of my confessions told you that Thomas Crooks didn't act alone, just like the latest reports from the New York Post and other investigators confirm what has been written in this book. So I think that in regards to Trump's religious status or Trump's, religious mindset, I will have to maybe do a specialized episode, no?
I think he fears God after what happened. So
absolutely.
He's not going to mess around.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Jesuits are, like I said, the enemies of Donald J. Trump. But they are also showing that in public letters. You don't need to go in, I'll show you something here. Letter from the Jesuits on the Trump administration rescission of DACA. Who do you think sends all those migrants from Central and South America? Come on, guys, you need to wake up. The people who are defending the so-called dreamers or any kind of illegal immigrant that is in this country are the Jesuits. So stop with your bullshit. Because, here you're talking about a guy who comes from Rome, who has grown up with the Jesuits, who knows very well what the Jesuits stands for. And I repeat, they don't stand for anything. Instead, if you want to know who stands with the Jesuits also politically, it's very easy. You write America is like the magazine of the Jesuits. And who is it that writes for America magazine? Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh my God. She does?
Yes. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez is a Jesuit agent.
Oh my God.
And this is, that's why I am like, let me show you guys. So maybe you refresh your mind, you reboot your mind from your demented conspiracy, you find some from idiots on the internet. One thing I can tell you for sure, that the connections that, of course, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez has with the Jesuits are real connections to the level of even writing for their magazine. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez on a Catholic faith and the urgency of criminal justice reform. This is the official America, the Jesuit Review.
Oh my God.
Okay, there is a reason why people like Alex Jones don't want me on their show anymore. It's because they have compromised themselves with the Jesuits. And when I actually criticized them because of that, they backed off and they actually offered me a banned video channel as, oh, well, if you want, you can talk still with the banned video channel. But of course, he's not having me anymore on the Alex Jones show, on the War Room.
You don't want to go on there more. It's
well,
backwards.
Of course. But I'm telling you guys, don't fall for their narrative, because then the number one anti-Semite instigators are the Jesuits. Yes, all the propaganda you hear in regards, of course, to the protocols of the sages of Zion is also not only of Sabbatean Frankist origin, as I explain in this book, but then the Sabbateans work hand in hand with the Jesuits, as I explain in the other books, volume 7, volume 9, so on. So it's important to understand all this. And it's important to understand who the real agents of the Jesuits are, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I think that one good thing about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, at least she didn't disrupt Trump's speech. She stayed home, and she didn't participate to the whole pink revolution of the Democrats, which backlashed. Because today we had the confirmation, of course, of the act of censoring that idiot of Al Green, and I think that Al Green is a despicable individual. He says that he did it in defense of Medicaid. Listen, Trump said over and over again. He said even, "Read my lips." He doesn't want to take away Medicaid, so Al Green deserved what happened today.
The yeas are 224. The nays are 198, with 2 answering present. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The House will come to order. The House will come to order. Shh. Will Representative Green present himself to the well? By its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured, that Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
Somebody said, are the Rothschild Sabbatean Frankist here in the chat? Of course, if you read this book, maybe you will learn all about this. In the last chapter of volume 10 of my Confessions, which is Islamic, Freemasonry, and the Secret Societies behind the eternal conflict in the Middle East. A great book to understand also what's happening with Hamas. We know that Donald J. Trump has done something unprecedented in the last few hours. He did a deadline to Hamas. He said, either you give us back these hostages or that's it. Is no longer going to guarantee for their life or anything connected to Hamas that I think should leave Gaza as soon as possible. There is 2 proposals now. There is, of course, the outlandish proposal of Donald J. Trump, which I don't know how practical it is. I actually agree with what he would like to do in Gaza, because I think it would be a great Riviera, just as Lebanon used to be before the Palestinians arrived and ruined it. But there is also the new Egyptian technocrats proposal, which comes from the Cairo Lodge, which, of course, is also at the center of volume 10 of my Confessions. And this new proposal is to keep the Palestinians there and take the Hamas away and give these technocrats the full control of Gaza to rebuild it. However, like I said, I think that leaving the Palestinians there in the same kind of situation with the Muslim Brotherhood, possibly substituting Hamas when Hamas was born out of the Muslim Brotherhood, will not be like a great change and an opportunity for permanent peace in that very contested place. And it is a contested place because, let's not forget, like I explained also in volume 10 of my Confession, it was the home of Nathan of Gaza, who was like the John the Baptist of the Sabbatean Frankist Gaza. So, I mean, it was the place where when the Jews didn't accept fully as a Messiah, the rabbinical council in Jerusalem didn't accept Shabbatai Zevi, he was invited instead in Gaza. And before that, it was, of course, a Templar stronghold. Who is our sponsor, Christine?
Daniel Estes.
Well, I would also like to remember that, remind our friends who are following us that we will be back on Saturday thanks to the great Dr. Faro with his fantastic products. If you want to donate, remember, if you want to donate, you can do it anonymously or you can do it publicly.
Or you can buy a book.
Or you can buy a book. Well, you have GoFundMe. We have Cash App, the Cash App handle. You can find it at leozagami.com together with the latest articles, which I'm going to start to upgrade. I've been a little bit back with that. I've been very, very busy the last month or so. I'm working on a new book that I hope to bring out by the end of April, God permitting. And that's going to be also a very interesting, let's say, volume. It's going to be volume 12, but that's going to be something that I will be talking about further on. Now, we said that, of course, today we were focusing mainly on the arrival of Volodymyr Zelensky in, of course, in Brussels, and this is his main statement for the Fourth Reich.
Alone, we feel it and we know it. Thank you so much for everything, and signals to increase our production and signals to, with the new program, to increase the European security. That's, I think, the great decisions.
Rearm Europe plan provides up to 800 billion euros.
Jawohl! People in Europe are struggling like never before. But von der Leyen, who is from Germany, of course, I think she can invest 800 billion euros. Maybe 500 million people in Europe should get together, should do a revolution against these technocrats.
Yeah, you should.
But the problem is they keep them divided, divide and conquer. As you divide them, they never...
And they don't get any, they can't get the word out because they don't have any free speech over there.
And that's it. That's a big problem. In fact, Andrew Tate recently talked about that. I don't really share, of course, everything Andrew Tate says, but in regards to free speech in Europe and what's happening there, definitely, and the way they persecuted him, though now he seems to be persecuted also by Ron DeSantis and his wife, who is running for governor, and they seem to be very much against Andrew Tate. Now let's continue to hear Ursula von der Leyen. Yeah, Ursula, where are you?
Defense investment.
Yeah.
It gives the member states fiscal space to invest in defense. It gives the member states possibility to invest in the Ukrainian defense industry or to procure military capabilities that go right away to Ukraine. So it is to the benefit of rearming Europe, rearming the European Union, but also arming Ukraine in its existential fight for its sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Yeah, why don't you help Europe defend their own sovereignty against a massive invasion? Why don't you help Europe rebuild after you destroyed so much of the economy with your demented pandemic? I think this is really the Reichsführer von der Leyen. This is the woman who wants to fight Russia without understanding that at this point, if we, as the United States of America, with the Trump administration, leave them to it, well, they don't stand a chance, guys. They absolutely don't stand a chance. But the Jesuits, of course, like I explained, are in control of the European Union. The Jesuits are behind all this, just as Davos. And Davos, like I explained in Volume 7, in the last chapter, the Pact of the Catacombs, because people don't realize the close link of Klaus Schwab with those cardinals who in December 1965 met in the catacombs in Rome to forge a new alliance that will bring the Catholic Church, this progressive increasingly progressive attitude, which was, of course, the product of the Second Vatican Council, which was itself a creation of the most progressive side of Freemasonry, continental Freemasonry, the Grand Lodge de France, the Grand Orient de France, of which Macron himself is, of course, a member. So that's it, guys. Paris has always been, the last few hundred years, the capital of Satanism in Europe.
Yes, save Europe.
And I have explained that in volume 6.66 very clearly. Yeah, but Paris has always been the capital of Satanism, and Macron, and of course, is the ultimate Jesuit product that could lead them against Russia. Now, this is very interesting, because back in the days when Napoleon waged war against Russia, it was the moment in which the Jesuits had actually used Russia to protect their order and made a deal with Catherine the Great. So there is some very interesting implications here. However, the Illuminati worked hand in hand with the Jesuits. They camouflaged themselves, saying they were actually waging war against the Jesuits, but in reality, von Knick said that Archbishop was a Jesuit stooge. And the Rothschilds became instead a product of the Sabbatean-Frankist Jesuit alliance. In fact, the Rothschilds have been nobilitated in various countries of Europe, but also at one point they were the bankers of the Vatican. And today, with Linda Rothschild, they have brought a new alliance of economists, of great business owners to the Vatican. So, guys, get my books if you want to know more. And of course, thanks to our sponsor, Daniel Estes, who has made the show possible. I hope you enjoyed it. Please put like, share it, share it, share it. Christy, of course, we have also our Zagami Family Cookbook. Please present it and show one of our recipes. You have so many.
Really?
Okay. Just show it. I mean, show a beautiful recipes you have here.
Here's the risotto ai funghi, which is mushroom. That's a nice one. And you don't put cream in it, so
yeah, but you have to use a specific kind of rice, no? You carnaroli,
yeah, or carnaroli, or boil
rice. Yes, so fantastic, guys. We will be always presenting every now and then a recipe from this book, which is a great book that Christy put together with, of course, the Zagami family tradition that developed with Christy when we were for 10 years in Italy, and Christy learned a lot about.
I'm a pretty good cook. We went out yesterday and we had some funky dinner at this Thai restaurant and we spent a lot of money and it wasn't very good. No. And I don't want to go out to eat anymore. We
were supposed to go to an Italian restaurant with a very good chef. Unfortunately, it was closed yesterday, and so we ended up in
a Thai place, and it was usually good. Like, we've gone there before, and that's why we chose it. It was one of our favorites, but it's not good anymore. So I don't think I want to go out to eat until my birthday. That's not for a while.
Yes.
So.
Somebody was saying they wanted to use Ramborant. No, we prefer that you use GoFundMe or Cash App. Thank you so much, actually, for offering that donation to Salt and Light Seeker. And we move on with, of course, The Last Dance.
Last Dance.
You know, I always see these people in the Fourth Reich. You know, they are so evil, and then you see Trump, which instead. But I couldn't finish this show without this news that was. I mean, we hear every day about some.
I was wondering
incident on the airplanes.
Yeah, this is. Wild.
This is a wild incident that just happened, guys.
Tonight with new details on an unruly passenger aboard a Southwest Airlines flight that was bound for Phoenix. That flight didn't even make it off the ground, turning back to the gate after a woman stripped completely naked and started cursing at the flight crew. At one point, passengers say she tried to get inside the cockpit. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. For 12 News at 10, I'm Kariba Devan.
I love the face of the guy here.
Story. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Mark Curtis. The entire thing was caught on camera by...
He must be in there since 1970, that guy, huh? With his glasses, mustache. Cool. Okay. It was, I mean, a lot of bad things happen with airplanes these days. This could have turned bad, but I think it was pretty funny.
No, she scared all the people on the plane. They said that she was possessed, that she had demons, and they were frightened.
Well, I think they're more possessed in Italy, where at the Carnival of Viareggio, they have this carnival where you have all this
carnival,
yeah, in Italy, and then you have these things that parade, how you call them, with the
masks.
No, with the big thing,
the costume.
The carro, like they put a big thing made of cartapesta or paper, these big images that parade along with the people in a sort of the carnival parade includes also these kind of elements. A particular carnival in Italy,
like Thanksgiving Day parade, like that, like those kind of things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. The most famous carnival in Italy is Viareggio, but this year they shocked people in a bad way because the one that won was actually the woman Pope. Secondo premio. So they won the award, and this is the woman Pope chariot that was paraded at this carnival. I think it's the most lip-tarded thing I could ever see. What are they trying to say? A woman pope? Well, guys, I mean, there's no turning back from the Church of Pope Francis being more and more demented. Now the Italians parading with this woman pope in the streets of the Carnival of Viareggio. Whoa, let's go back to Vincenzo Viceversa, Media Ball, the music of Vincenzo Viceversa. In the images of our friend Albert from Telepandemia. Wow. You want to say something before we salute our public and go into the music, Christy? You know, you don't like.
Oh, I'm not going to talk during the music. I won't talk. I have nothing to say except I'll see you next week.
No,
actually, we'll see you on Saturday.
Next week.
This is Thursday.
Yes.
Be here on Saturday.
Okay.
Science, technology, social organization. Technology, social organization, dehumanization. technology, social organization.